The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it is the foundation. It is the key that opens the doors to all different types of financial aid, including federal loans, federal grants, federal work study, state grants, and it's used to determine the need for need-based scholarships. It's an online form. Most families can do it in about 30 minutes, so it's nothing to be intimidated by. There's a tool inside the FAFSA called the IRS Retrieval, and you can actually link to the IRS, bring that data into your FAFSA, and that's great for several reasons. First of all, it makes it easier. You're not having to do line-by-line questions. Second, it is almost impossible to make a mistake because it's coming straight from the IRS. And third, it's encrypted, so it's safer. So we encourage everyone to use the IRS Retrieval. Schools are always going to give you the, quote, good money first. So we're always going to give you the grants, the gift assistance, money that does not have to be paid back, before we're going to give you what we call self-help aid, such as federal work study or loans. But again, the FAFSA is the application for all of those types of programs. It opens in October, and there's no reason to not go ahead and do it in October because, again, the taxes are already finished. But most deadlines are going to be in the early spring. So as long as you're meeting the earliest deadline of all the schools and programs in which you're interested in, you're going to be filing the FAFSA just one time and listing multiple schools. But there's no reason not to go ahead and do it in October because that's a fairly quiet time of the year as far as senior activities, and it would be a good time to go ahead and get that off your checklist. There is absolutely no harm in going ahead and filling out the FAFSA even if you're not sure which college you're going to apply. You can list multiple colleges on the FAFSA and they will receive that information, which may start a conversation with that school that previously did not know you were interested. You can certainly fill out the FAFSA with no colleges listed, but there's no harm in going ahead and listing 5 or 6 that you might be interested in. The deadlines for each school should be prominently displayed on their website. So the student does need to do a little bit of homework, a little bit of research. It should be fairly easy to find the financial aid tab on the school's website, and checklists, deadlines, any additional applications that that school requires should be clearly earmarked on that page. There are reasons why students simply miss the deadlines or just don't have the support of their family to get the form done in a timely manner. But it's really never too late to submit the FAFSA. Up until June 30th of the year after college, you can still submit the FAFSA, and the Pell Grant is an entitlement that doesn't really run out, and the loans are available at any time of the year. So some programs may go away. We certainly encourage you to meet the deadlines so you have full consideration. But even if you miss those deadlines, it's never too late to do the FAFSA until the year is virtually over. The students will be notified. The calendar, again, is a little bit different from school to school. Typically the private schools get the award letters out a little earlier than the public schools. But the universal date to accept a college offer is May 1. So unless you're doing early decision, the month of April is kind of the critical time. You should have heard from your schools, you should have your aid offers, you should be able to make an informed decision at that time. Most schools are going to inform you by email or by paper mail, and I cannot stress the importance of knowing how to get to your email. Students are very busy that time of year. They're getting a lot of information from a lot of different people. But the email that they used on their admissions application or the email that they're assigned by that school, they need to monitor that very carefully because quite a bit of the communication will be to that email, not to the parents. It's going to go to the student, and it may ask them to log in to view their awards. It may be a paper award letter, so the communication is going to be slightly different from school to school. There are 3 different kinds of educational loans. The first is the federal direct loan in the student's name, what parents may remember being called a guaranteed student loan. That's a loan in the student's name, may or may not be subsidized depending on the need level that was expressed by the FAFSA, and it is repaid after the student leaves school, hopefully because they graduated, but if not, when they left school or dropped below half-time enrollment. Interest rates are low. It's a very attractive loan. If that's not enough, there are a couple of other options. The first would be a Parent Plus loan. This is also a federal educational loan, but it's in the name of mom or dad or a step-parent. And it is also can be deferred until the student gets out of school. Interest rate's a little bit higher. The student loan is a little more attractive, but the credit check is fairly mild, and many parents are approved for the Parent Plus loan. If that's not agreeable to the parents, then the student can take out a private loan in their name, but a parent or some other creditworthy adult is more than likely going to have to co-sign with them. So it's still going to be sort of a family affair. Schools can't tell students which lender to use for those private loans, but this is not the student going to a bank and asking for a loan. This is a list on the school's website of approved lenders or lenders that their students have used in the past. There'll be names on there that are national that you'll recognize. There'll be some local names like the South Carolina Student Loan Corporation. Your own bank may be on the list. And so you can do your own research, maybe shop around a little bit and find the loan that's best for you. Each school that participates in the federal programs has something called a net price calculator, and it should be very easy to just do a search on their very first page. And it asks for you to put in certain items about yourself, your income, your grades, and it's going to tell you what a student that looks like you received at their school in a prior year. Some are more sophisticated than others, but all of them are going to give you an idea of what to expect. And it's a very valuable tool because you may be looking at a school that seems way beyond your reach financially, but they have enough scholarships and institutional aid that they may be more affordable than a much cheaper school. So if you don't ask the questions, if you don't apply, if you don't at least get an idea from them, you may be marking off a school that was a good fit for you. Because the year we use on the FAFSA is already fairly dated by the time the student starts schools, we get a lot of questions about, that's not what my income is anymore. And so if you have a situation where in the year that was on the FAFSA you were married and now you're separated, divorced, or widowed, or if you've lost your job, then that is definitely something that you need to talk to your financial aid office about. Now, normal fluctuations for businesses, typically we can't do anything for that, but a dramatic loss of income because of death, divorce, a medical issue, the financial aid office can do a professional judgment if the documentation warrants that. If I could give advice to everybody, it would be, one, apply early. And early is really hard to define because you can't start any earlier as far as the applications go than October 1. But just make sure you're meeting the first deadline of the school, the earliest deadline of the schools you're interested in and the programs you're applying for. Secondly, read your emails. That is the primary thing that we hear from students who miss out on something. I didn't know, and we did send that to them. We did clearly state this is something you need to do, but they're not really always attentive to those emails. Borrow responsibly. We know nobody wants to take out a loan, but when a student expresses a lot of fear in borrowing, I usually ask them, have you or do you ever plan to borrow a loan to pay for a car? If you're willing to borrow a loan to pay for a car, your education is going to be so much more valuable to you over your life than that car is going to be. So borrow responsibly, don't borrow for luxury, don't borrow for necessity, but if you need to take out a loan to attend the school that's going to match your best career goals, then absolutely that's a good investment. To reach me or a financial aid counselor at Clemson University, call 864-656-2280 or email finaid@clemson.edu. That's FINAID@clemson.edu. Our website is clemson.edu/finaid.